Hey everybody, welcome to Repairing the Shattered. Today, we're going to talk about conflict. Not because we're having any. We're getting along very, very, very well. Despite the time that we're recording this being way past my bedtime. But we're doing a good job.
Thanks, Kirk.
Figuring it out. No, we wanted to talk about conflict because I think that it's a universal thing that you see not only in the work you do in your office with couples and other people, but also people may not know this, but one of the things that you offer is like organizational conflict consultation and coaching. Yeah. So if a corporation or a business or a church or any sort of organization is having conflict, you can come in and kind of help them sort that out a little bit. And so I thought talking about conflict and kind of what it is and how to do that would be useful. Yeah?
Yeah, this is great.
What do you think about conflict in general? Tell me about it being universal.
Conflict, I think it's something that in our culture, it's depending on where we've been and where we are, it's often something that can make people shudder. Oh, we want to avoid it at all costs. And it's not comfortable. It can feel like, let's just pretend it's not there. And it leads to a lot of chaos, which in the corporate space is not what we want. And organizationally, we're wanting to be able to know, how do we bring people together to get the work done that we're wanting to do? And so it's a really important topic that is really beneficial to be hashed through.
Where do you think that conflict kind of comes from? If we're looking at this from like a where-when sort of idea, where does conflict come from?
Yeah, conflict historically, when we're looking at what's showing up in the room, it comes from these unmet needs. And simply put, like knowing that we're heard, knowing that our voice is being heard by others in the room, attention is being given to it, that we're valued, that our presence matters in the room, that we have an equitable space, a seat at the table with the work that we're doing, and that there's a sense of a need for safety. Is it okay for me to bring my voice into the room? Is it a safe place to disagree with how we're accomplishing tasks, what the project is that we're doing, or is it not safe? And those are things that can feel very elusive, especially when we're looking at organizational or corporate spaces.
I think safety can also be things like, I have a deadline and I might lose my job if I don't get this done, and so I'm heightened.
Absolutely. There can be a lot of anxiety that shows up in the room when safety is threatened. Deadlines, time-sensitive things, neurological differences, individuals who actually are really productive closer to a deadline versus individuals who need things 2 weeks prior to a deadline, are all things that come into play when we're in what can be workplace organizational conflict.
Yeah, so conflict can result out of like high stakes environments, whether that's relationally in personal relationships or work ones. So why should we address conflict?
I just took a big breath. Why should we address conflict? And some of that is growing up in a home where conflict was present, but we didn't know how to resolve it. It just keeps building, right? The elephant's not being brought into the room, and yet the elephant is all over the place, making a big old mess. So why? It just builds. The tension builds, the intensity builds, the sense of I need to be heard, I want to be valued. Things start to go sideways and get confusing really fast, and we kind of sometimes forget what we're even talking about. So it really is important to be able to bring into the room what's present.
It's not going to get better on its own.
It will not get better on its own, though some could say it gets better on its own because things are smooth until there is another deadline or until there is another need that's not met. And that's when we're like, we don't know what happened. Things just went sideways. So yeah, it won't go away on its own if we don't have a way or working model of how are we going to engage in conflict here.
So how do we resolve it? How do you coach people or help them with conflict resolution? What's the answer?
Yeah, the answer how is to just kind of get friendly with it. Being able to say, oh, if I can understand that conflict is going to show up because it's part of being human in rooms with other humans, that we will have these places where we miss each other and where we are missed, that we can actually get curious about what is happening as opposed to avoid what is happening. And that really looks like being able to lean in, listen, hear what's actually going on, ask questions, and being able to understand that there's more than just what the issue is. Oftentimes the issue is not really the issue, even though we think it is. So really having that sense of curiosity.
Well, if you have an understanding that there's conflict is resulting from probably an unmet need,
Yeah.
being curious about what that need is, and then having some empathy for the person who's having that unmet need.
That's right. And sometimes some of the workplace things that maybe don't make sense contextually, if we can understand, oh, there's actually a story here, maybe old workplace stuff that's showing up in the room, that if we were to just slow down enough in that little bit of time, 5 minutes, where we're like, hey, we're going to just take a beat. There's something going on here we're missing. If we can have empathy and lead with that compassionate space, it really communicates and addresses that those needs are met, and the whole room starts to feel more safe. The voices of everyone, we're starting to feel like, hey, there's value here. We're actually seen in this space, and we're wanting to be able to be understood here. So that little bit of investment really helps to pay off in the long run as to being able to kind of accomplish the task that we're wanting to accomplish, while also continuing to build into the group a sense of safety and trust.
So I think probably when you come into a space like this, you're not just diving right into the mediation of the problem.
Correct.
You are building relationships.
Yeah. I'm not coming in with, here's what we need to do. I'm not coming in with solutions right away. And this is true with my couples as well, with my individuals. People come in hurting and they want to fix it. Solutions do not create felt safety. They don't meet those needs. Solutions help move things forward, but we can't move things forward if we're really not engaged at the space of being able to know what's going on. So the solutions are there. I'm getting curious about who's in the room, understanding what's happening, what is the problem we're trying to solve, and really getting underneath of that to address it in a targeted way, much like we do with cancer, where it's like, hey, what's going on here? What stage are we in? Which is similar with group dynamics. Where are we? What stage are we in? And what is needed to be able to get us into that stage of safety and trust where we're actually able to use our gifts as a collective team, much like you and I are, that we have differences that we can be celebrated, that instead of feeling like a sense of devaluing or a sense of thinking that we're not able to show up fully as ourselves, like we actually begin to work more collaboratively. We'll be able to move into spaces where more creativity actually comes when we do feel safe and seen and known in those spaces.
So part of what you do is coming in and doing some prevention work. You're actually working through the relationship building so that when conflict does arise, you can resolve it better.
Absolutely. We're making a blueprint. There's actually a blueprint to be able to know, not only are we coming up with a solution for when it comes, we're actually anticipating it. So we're not surprised when it's here, and we can be on the lookout for, oh yeah, here's one of those times. This is actually an invitation to go deeper, to be able to be more effective in the workplace, in the relationship. So we can actually come from a same team approach. We're working together to figure this out as opposed to opposition. We bring ourselves with us into every setting. And our stories live in our bodies, our families of origin, the ways conflict was or wasn't addressed in our home environments, in our culture. Living overseas, conflict wasn't something that was addressed head on. It was addressed in a very collective manner where we talked around things, and it was actually a very culturally appropriate way to get things done, because we're honoring culture. We're honoring, hey, there's things that aren't quite working, and yet we're talking around it. Where in some work cultures, maybe there's a more direct approach. So really understanding, hey, what are the different ideologies? What are the paradigms? Are we having a culturally competent lens as we're looking through how each individual is navigating conflict, how we are bringing ourselves into the situation, right? That we're bringing more self-awareness to what's happening even in the room, so that when individuals are experiencing the sense of, I'm not feeling heard, my voice isn't being seen, instead of escalating and working harder to be understood, we're actually coming to a place of, hey, I really want to understand what's happening here. And that's really universal. It's a universal truth. We talk about peace talks. We talk about conflict resolution. It can feel really kind of mysterious and elusive, but when we really are looking across and we're seeing another human with a story, we can validate it makes a lot of sense why things are showing up where they are, and then how can we hold space to be able to move forward and do what needs to happen, what work needs to be done, what meetings we're needing to engage in. But we're coming from a place of feeling connected and seen so that we actually can be more effective in the work we are doing.
This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The information provided by Sharon Hicks and Kirk Shepard should not be considered clinical advice.
For more information about Sharon Hicks and Kintsukuroi counseling, go to sharonhicks.net.